Okay, in this season, just like I was saying, I said for the past 4 lectures thereabout, I've been teaching IELTS writing type 2. Yes, because that's one of the most difficult area, and it's a general area of IELTS for both academic writers and general writers. And I have treated topics like vocabulary development, which is critical, especially somebody is raising up his hand. If it's a volume issue, please check your left hand corner of your what do I call it, of your the Zoom app. Just at the bottom you will see the audio. It has a you will see it fluctuating or has a mute symbol or sign. Okay, but I will still allow you to talk. So we will commence the class. Okay. The person using Infinix, I think I've unmute you. You can talk. You asked, were you asking a question or what? Okay, or maybe you were just testing. Princess Olaide as well, were you trying to make a comment? Let me see. I have you on mute, so if you want to talk, please do. Okay. If you are not making any comments, then I need to transit straight into this lectures. So I said I have particularly spoken about vocabulary development, which is very, very key to how you write and present your idea. That was the first lecture we had in this series. Then I took us through the basic structure of writing IELTS structured essay, and the second lecture I taught about how to write an introduction. Okay, the third lecture I talked about. Okay, I talked about somebody says he can't hear me. How many people can hear me, please? If you can hear, please just indicate and talk. Okay, Olaide, please go to the left hand side corner down of your application and check it. If it is not mute, I need to unmute everyone now. Okay, so people are saying it's clear from their end. So the thing there is that if it's not clear from your end, just please check it. Check the left hand side corner down. You will see the mute button or the audio button. Click it to adjust your volume. The person with Genio S1102 is saying the same thing, but some people have indicated that they can hear clearly. So it is not from my end, it is from your system or from the application itself. Okay, so quickly I will transit to my lecture slide now, and I will take off from where I stopped the last time. Okay, I think the last part we had was this question. It's like I lost, okay, I lost part of it because I didn't save immediately, but I was able to recapture. The question we treated the last time, or we've been treating, is it is better for children to grow up in the countryside than in the big city. Do you agree or disagree? Then use specific reasons and examples to develop your essay. And the first part of the essay that I said, the first thing you need to do is identify the question type. In one of the first lecture, I taught about how to identify a particular question so that you can appropriately answer the question without getting out of the context of the question. And we were able to identify that the question was a Y type of question. So let me bring my cursor now and annotate. So we're able to accept and conclude that it was based on the illustration I have given before. So then, after identifying the question, you need to plan. That is, you need to highlight your points. Don't just start writing, so that you wouldn't get into the middle of the writing and then you see that you have no point or you have no way of transiting. Okay, so that is just it. So, and people contributed who were in class the last time. One person agreed. He said children are better off in the countryside. And the point was that cool atmosphere of training helped to develop good manners in children. Children in cities, a counterpoint now, are exposed to vices. Okay, then I raised a disagreement. I said children are better off in the city. Okay, I said cities have the right amenities in terms of the quantity and qualities. In terms of quality and quantities. Okay, and I said second factor, children in the city are exposed to cross-cultural and multi-ethnic experience. Okay, so this was the planning we did. Some people disagreed, I disagreed, some people agreed, but these are the points that were raised in agreement. And then the next thing to do after planning, sorry, there is another plan for another question which I just showed, but I will go to the next thing to do after planning, because the next thing is to write an introduction. And I gave an highlight about how to write an introduction. I said your introduction should do two things. One of them is rewrite the question in your own words or in a way that helps you to transit to the main body. So yes, and secondly, if possible, this is not mandatory, but sometimes it's helpful, highlight the points you would like to discuss. Okay, that was the tip I gave on writing introduction. Then I came up here, this was another task. Yes, I think in the previous class, before the last class, this was the introduction I did. Yes, but for the last class, this was the introduction I did. Yes, the environment a child is nurtured is critical to the eventual outcome of the child. Okay, so this was my own embellishment. This was not the question. You can do that as long as it is not outside the context. So, but thus there has been debate. This is actually the question now. This is the area where the question was captured. Okay, thus there has been debate about which is the better place to raise a child, the city or the countryside. Now I have captured the question, and now I want to raise my points. I want to introduce my point. To some, the rural area. Now I raised a reason because it makes your arguments better when you are able to raise a reason for the opposing idea. Yes. To some, the rural area is the better option as it offers a cool and calm community for children's upbringing, but the overall development of the child is well attained in the urban centers due availability of critical amenities necessary for child upbringing and the cross-cultural exposure gained. Okay, you can see that's an introduction. This part captures a point in opposition, which helps your argument to be very robust, and then introduced the point I would like to discuss. Okay, so these are the critical components of these three in red, in green, and in blue. Especially the red and the blue, they are the critical parts. The green is just to raise, make your argument robust. Yes. So that was part of the things we did. Sorry. Okay, now then we came into the main body after the introduction, because today I want us to understand what I want to teach is how to write a good conclusion. But I need to take us back to how we started. Then I wrote, sorry, I had to screen munch from the video I did because I didn't save, so I lost what I wrote. I hope you are able to see this clearly. Then I wrote a paragraph in support of one of my points. And the paragraph, this is the paragraph. It said, as much as many view the countryside as being the perfect fit environment for raising a child due to well-suited calmness it offers, yet the very important amenities for training a child are in good quantities as well as quality in the urban center. Okay, so this was, and I said it in writing the body of the essay. I will take you to my slide where I gave the instruction. Yes, this is what I said. I critically emphasized the fact that the main body of the essay, every point should be raised in a separate paragraph. That is, every point should be discussed in a separate paragraph. And I raised 2 points. One of the points was the fact that the city centers has more amenities for children's training, or which are crucial to children's upbringing and development. And I said something, don't just raise the point. Introduce the main idea. Then the next thing is you need to illustrate every point. Don't just introduce the idea, illustrate every point. And again, you need to possibly validate, give example, give situation, validate. So those are the 3 key components. Raise the point. 1, 2, illustrate the point. 3 is validate. Okay, so I just highlighted them here now. Those are the key components of a paragraph and what makes a paragraph very, very sound. Now, that was what led to this. And you will see that in the first sentence here, I introduced the idea that city centers have better amenities. Okay, and now in the second sentence now, I am illustrating my idea. I said critical infrastructure such as schools, play centers, IT training programs and centers which are necessary for educating the 21st century child are in large numbers and of high qualities in the big cities. Okay, so that was my illustration. Then the last sentence, it says, according, sorry for the break. It says, according to the children development professional, the basic infrastructure for nurturing a well-rounded child is a very good and well-equipped playground, a qualitative educational systems, amongst many other things. I am trying to say this validation, I have used it to say this authority says this. And I have also used it to say these educational training and equipment are critical to the well-being or development of a child. Trying to say this is more important than having the cool and calm environment of the countryside. Somebody just raised up her hand, and because I have illustrated what we went through in the last lecture, I will come to you now so that you can, if you have a question, so that you can, I think the person was Mercy. Let me see, I'm trying to locate you. Okay. Mercy, please, can you talk? I've unmuted you. Are you having a problem with hearing, or do you want to clarify anything? Okay, I can't seem to get any response from your hand, so I will have to continue. So before I, however, continue, what I want to do today is write a conclusion, but introduce us to the concept of conclusion writing. But before we go there, I want to write a paragraph in class now on the second argument, which was, or which is having a cross-cultural experience and knowledge. So I will go back into my slide now to continue the lecture. So you can see this was the plan. This was my own side, and this is where I am coming from. I said children in the cities are exposed to cross-cultural and multi-ethnic experience. So I will write something on that now, which will serve as my second paragraph, so that it will give us the idea. For those who are wondering, okay, how did we pick up maybe these words? Because one of the things that you need to properly do when you are writing is to pay attention to the words you use. For example, I use the word nurture. I have taught that in vocabulary development. I use the word upbringing. I use the word, let me just highlight them. Nurture. I use upbringing. Okay. I think in some places I can't highlight the main paragraph, I use, now you can see I use countryside, and in some part of the main paragraph I use yes, I repeated countryside. I also use rural areas. I use yes. So those are the things that you need to pay attention when certain words have synonyms or phrases that can replace them. You need to use them. You don't need to be monotonous. Okay, so let's leave that. That's one of the 4 or 5 critical components of vocabulary development that we did in the first lecture. So I want to write a paragraph now on the second option. Okay, number one thing that I will do is I will introduce the main idea. Okay, okay, I said children that grows up in the cities gain cross-cultural and multi-ethnic experience, which are important soft skills needed in present workplace and globalized community. Okay, so now I have introduced the idea, then I will have to illustrate the idea. So in okay, I am deliberately changing the word cities because I have used cities a lot of time. Okay, whereas in the urban centers or urban areas, okay, I was thinking about different people, but a better way of expressing it came up in my mind. I need to use that. Okay, I said most dwellers in the rural areas comprises of one or a major ethnic group, whereas in the urban areas, people of diverse nationality, culture, I want to pluralize this, cultures, ethnicities converge there, okay, giving children the ample opportunities to mix with other people of different background and learn from them. Okay, so I have illustrated my points by what I mean by the fact that they gain multi-ethnic and cross-cultural experience. So I said most dwellers in the rural areas comprise of one major ethnic group. Then I compared, and one of the things you need to note that is needed in your IELTS is a complex statement like this. If you write a simple statement, you will get good mark, but immediately you are able to combine 2 or 3 sentences in a well-structured sentence. You use the right transitions and conjunctions, then you will score higher. Okay, I said most dwellers in the, so these are the critical components I have also taught in the vocabulary development. Most dwellers in the rural areas comprises of one or a major ethnic group, whereas in the urban areas, people of diverse nationalities, cultures, and ethnicities converge there, giving children the ample opportunity to mix with other people of different background and learn from them. Now, I need to validate. So I want to validate with the fact that, okay, maybe authorities have cited cross-cultural experience for children as an important skills they need to learn to survive in this globalized uh, environment. Okay, so let me validate now. Okay, I said children's sociologists have confirmed that cross-cultural exposures and skills can be well developed in people at their early age in life, and this competence is needed more as we experience an intense internationalization. Okay, so I have completed a paragraph on the cross-cultural competence, and I've reinforced more of internationalization here and globalization to say that it is critical that children get developed for the present realities. Okay, so that is how to construct a paragraph. Introduce the idea, that is one. This is the introduction of the idea. Illustrate the idea. Sorry, let me put it in another color code. Then validate. Then validate the idea. Okay, so those are the things that we need to do. So I had to do this to get most of us to catch up or to be at par with previous lectures. So now I want to talk about writing a good conclusion. Okay, so I will go to the guideline for writing a good conclusion. So this is the main body and this is your conclusion. Okay, but I want you to come to the latter part. The latter part are the two critical components of the conclusion. You need to rephrase the question and you need to summarize the points that were raised and discussed. Yes, that is what your conclusion should be all about. Rephrase the question and summarize your point. And one thing that you need to note is this: if you do your introduction very, very well, your introduction and your conclusion will look alike. The only thing is that the conclusion will contain more information because you have arrived at a conclusion or some analysis. So what you have done in the introduction, according to what you can see here, is recapture the question, then highlight the points to be discussed. Here now, you will recapture the question and then summarize the points you have discussed. So that is the critical part of a conclusion. Okay. So for those who are regular students on Tuesdays, though some of us didn't get across to me with your task and assignments, only one person got across with his introduction, and that was encouraging, but for others, not. Okay, so I will write a sample conclusion now. Here, right here. So I want to recapture the question in another format now. Okay, somebody is raising up her hand, Dorcas. Let me come to you before I continue. Okay, Dorcas, can you please talk?
Okay, thank you so much. I was actually writing some points from the conclusion, then you wiped it up.
Okay, you were writing the point. Okay, I will get back to the place now, and
okay,
you can have time to write it down. Okay, no problem. Okay, you can still get a recording of the lecture, no problem about that. So, but I will get back to the place. Okay.
All right.
Let me go into how to, this is the conclusion. The two last things that I said, because what I said before, the two last statements summarize just what I said. Okay, so this is it. Yeah. I said your conclusion should capture all the points raised and discussed in a summary format. Then let your position be vividly clear. If it's a case of what is your opinion, try to re-emphasize it again. And your conclusion or summary is just the same as your introduction with a few more details from the discussion or argument you carried out. It is a rephrase. Okay, the summary part is that it is a rephrase of the question. Yes, and also the summary points discussed. Okay, so that is it. So I'm waiting for you to just write. If possible, if you can just.
I'm done.
Okay, no problem then.
Yeah.
So let us transit now. Okay. I want to write an introduction, conclusion for that part now. So this is the conclusion. I'm trying to think because I didn't have anything framed up in my mind. Okay. Because okay, I said despite the fact, sorry, that opinions are divided as to the better place for a child to grow up, yet there are glaring evidences that the cities are well suited for the development of the 21st century child. Okay, so I have captured the question and vividly stated my position. So I have done the first task. Okay, so the second task is now to summarize the points that I want to use to justify that the city center is the cities are the best or is the best place are the best place for a child's development. Okay. I'm trying to see if this sentence is okay. This is as a result of the presence of the right amenities in good quantities and qualities in the city centers, as well as the cross-cultural competence. Okay, this is as a result of the presence of the right amenities. Okay, I need to give some details, such as schools and playgrounds, which are in good quantities and qualities in the city centers, as well as the cross-cultural competence the urban center confers on the children. Okay, this is a summary of what I have discussed. This as a result of the presence of the right amenities such as schools and playgrounds, which are in good quantities and qualities in the city center, as well as the cross-cultural. I'm trying to see how to add something to the cross-cultural experience by giving a vivid example, because it's always a bit necessary so that it won't be as short as the introduction, as well as the cross-cultural competence conferred due the presence of many ethnic nationalities. Okay, that's makes me very, very relaxed now. Okay, due to the presence of many ethnic nationalities. Okay, so that is the way to capture a conclusion issued. Number one, capture the question. And if it is an opinion question, a why question is always an opinion question where you justify your position. I've taught that in the along the line in the series. So the second part should capture all the things that you discussed. Yes. So that is the way to write a conclusion. Okay, so now I will just, if you have any question, the only unfortunate part is the fact that most of the people that started maybe are not part of this class today. So given a task, some people might just be looking at me and might not understand the task. But the thing you need to know about any question is that at the conclusion point, you will have to highlight the question again, state your position, and then summarize the points you discussed. So now I want to allow people to talk. If you have any question, please indicate, because I don't want to, if I unmute everyone, there might be noises in people's background, and when the noise is too much, those who want the recording would not enjoy it. Okay, so if you have any question, please send it through text, or you can just indicate by using the raise your hand button so that I can attend to your question before we call it a day for today. Okay, let me ask individually. Kolade Taiwo, do you have any question?
No.
Okay, no problem.
No, I don't.
Okay, and Dorcas, do you have any question?
No, I don't. It's well understood.
Okay, no problem. Okay, and the person using iPhone, I don't know, your name is not showing. Please, do you have any question?
No.
No. Okay, I hope it is clear, because I went through the process of writing a particular paragraph, how to write a paragraph, and also how to write a conclusion. I hope it is clear. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, no problem then. Okay, NJ Love, I hope you can hear us, or you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I hope the lecture was clear enough for you to gain anything.
Yeah, it was very clear. I understood everything.
Okay. Somebody is asking what's the required number of sentence to conclude to avoid. The thing about sentence is this: nobody can place an embargo on the sentence you use. The only thing is you have to recapture everything you've discussed in the summary. As much as you have recaptured everything, and you can see that my sentence was complex in the conclusion. The more complex sentence you are able to use, instead of using short, simple statement sentences, the more your mark will be, especially if you get the construct of the sentence right, because those are the things I teach in vocabulary development. Yes, you can, if I send you the link to this lecture, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel for the link, you will get previous lectures where I've taught vocabulary development, the key components, and how to develop higher expressions and alternate words. So the number of sentences you use is not the case. It is if your sentence is not redundant, if it converts, I mean, if it summarizes and carry out the actions you were supposed to carry, summarize the question, state your position, and also summarize the points that you've discussed. So you cannot be queried for the number of sentences you use in your conclusion. The minimum word count is 250. I normally tell people you can go beyond 250, write plus or plus 10%. That's the recommended standard. But if you make sense, the thing there is that don't write too much. The more you write, the more mistakes you make. Yes. That's just the thing. And the less time you have to go through your work. So nobody is going to chastise you for the number of sentences you make, but try and make it to cover what you need to cover. Make it as brief as possible. So that's just it. Okay. If there is no further question, I think I will have to say good night for this class. Or let me just touch on every other person. The person using SMT 561. Do you have any question, please? Or any clarification? Okay, no response. So the person BB, do you have any question? Okay, no question. Okay, so I will say a good night, and I wish you a good preparation towards your IELTS exam. On Thursdays, we'll always hold a free lecture. For those who would like to participate in the full program, will have to contact me to know the terms and conditions to participate in the full lectures. And for those who have challenges just in writing, we are coming up with a writing clinic because we've done some writing intervention clinic for people who have written many times but have only challenges in writing. Yes, though I have spent about 4 or 5 past lectures to address writing, which is as comprehensive as even the intervention writing clinic that we do. Okay, so I will say good night to everyone. So Merry Christmas in advance, and have a nice preparation towards your IELTS exam.
Thanks.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye bye.
For the lecture. Bye bye.
Good night.
Thanks so much. Really, I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.